Good morning world, and it feels like an absolute age since I've been traveling around alone in a car. Been very busy here at Tantula Safari Camp with a couple of projects that have kept me away from these solo safaris, but have a morning off, so I thought let us go out there and see what the morning brings. I have picked a horrendous morning to be on Game Drive. The wind is howling, it's cold, there's just this blanket of cloud everywhere, but hey, we're in the bush and you're coming along for the ride, so let's see what is out there today. Sky actually as cold as I thought it was going to be. It's just the wind that's unpleasant. As always, after windy nights like we had, excellent for leopards to hunt in. Foreman last night did have a female leopard not far from camp with a kill. Was then stolen by a male. So just going to start off by scratching around in this area and seeing if they are still around, but I don't think there was a great deal of meat left. I think we just missed it the last few days. Oh, sadly our leopard is gone. Must have finished her kill last night and moved off, but we're going to keep on scratching around the area. It's actually coming up to a mound not far away from where the kill was last night. Quite overgrown with grass now. A year or two ago this used to be quite bare because it was a favorite sleeping spot for a resident group of warthogs. They were in and out every night, but we had a male leopard called Mazinho. It's very rarely occurs in this area these days, but he got into the habit of learning that these warthogs slept in this mound, and he would just come and sit in the mound and wait for them to emerge in the mornings. We saw him here several times. Actually started calling this Mazinho's mound, but one morning we followed him here, and unknowingly to us, we didn't know that he was going to do this. He was just walking to the mound as he'd been doing for the last half hour. We'd been following him, so we drove round to that side of the mound. He came up, and we parked. We wanted to get him walking over the mound and surveying his area, and he poked his head in the hole and suddenly retreated backwards, and he went and sat and waited. Now we realized what was happening, that he had obviously smelt warthogs in the hole and he was now going to wait. We decided not to move in case we disturbed things, so we sat there, and I said to the guests, look, I've seen this happen before where leopards have literally spent almost 2 days waiting for warthogs to come out and then fallen asleep when they come out so they get away. But let's give it a few minutes and see what happens. And I'd no sooner said this and some dust started emerging from the mound, and this is what happened. And as you can see, quite an amazing, not everyone's cup of tea to see kills, but it is part of nature, and to have something like that unfold only a few meters from the car was pretty spectacular. So anyway, that is Mazinho's mound. Let's see if we can repeat that performance or anything even close to it this morning. Our river pride have been wandering far and wide, but hopefully we'll be able to show you them and chat about them. Their tracks are coming back. They had a zebra kill, finished it yesterday morning, spent the night sleeping, but they are aiming back to our concession now. So our tracking team is on it, and they've been simply sublime with finding lions the last few weeks. Almost every time they've set out to look for lions, they've found them, and usually a couple of prides a drive or a day. So they are on the trail, despite the conditions and the wind having disturbed a lot of the tracks. They're still following, so fingers crossed. An excellent 3-second clip of birds. This was a little flock of white-crested helmetshrikes who are now gone. We always see them flying around in flocks. They're cooperative breeders. there'll be a breeding pair and then a couple of support individuals, often relatives, that are there to assist with raising of chicks, feeding of chicks, looking after them. But they fly around in these little groups, and that's what they did. They flew. So, seeing as the real ones wouldn't sit still, find you one in the book. That's what it looked like. What I actually wanted to point out and chat about before they flew off was that white crest, clearly marked there by the words white crest. But what that is actually used for in these birds is for gathering cobwebs, spider webs. When they nest, they take strips of bark off trees and bind them together using spider web that they collect with these specially modified feathers on their head. And in this feeding party, there's an alpha pairing, and they have a bunch of helpers that work with them to help, as I say, cooperate with the breeding, and that includes nesting construction and also the incubation of these eggs. The chicks may stay with the family, or they break off as male groups, female groups, and then meet up with other male, female groups, establish an alpha pair, and then all the others cooperate. And that's how they work. Very, very friendly. Although it does mean that only one pair gets to breed. But if they're your kin, if they're related to you, there's less energy involved if the whole group is working towards raising these ones. Only one female's using her energy to lay the eggs, but from a natural selection point of view, kin selection they call it, your genes, your family's genes are still being passed on with less energy being spent on each individual, if that makes sense. Maybe not on a cold windy morning. Let's carry on. So these unpleasant conditions are not going away. Got a little herd of zebras over here with some impalas, and we just talk about them being plains game, but you can see they've tucked themselves right in the thicket just to get away from this cold biting wind. The coats of those impalas are dark, hazy red, trying to trap that warm air close to the surface of their skin, warm them up a bit, but yeah, it's pretty damn miserable, I'm not gonna lie. Look at my sticker on my car. That's something new. We've put our decals on, so now you know where I'm from. But I've just come to this termite mound over here. It's an old mound. Got a false marula that the elephants have decided they didn't like so much and pushed it over. Old excavation from an aardvark, would have been used by many things over time, but in their feeding, the elephants have also squashed that raisin bush, just kind of blocked the entrance, so far fewer things are going to be using that mound now. But it's a mound that, given one of our trackers pointed out to me quite a while ago when I was driving with him, and what he wanted to show me was this pottery that has been found lying here. It would have been excavated when the aardvark was digging the mound, and there's a few pieces of the pot together there. But what is interesting about this is that this has obviously come from indigenous tribes and people that have been living here for many, many hundreds of years. And some researchers actually decided that they could get a relative age of these termite mounds by identifying the pots that were found within them. Now, why would a pot be in a termite mound? What used to happen was the people that made these pots would fill them with water and then come and leave it in these mounds. The termites would then come and drink the water as a source of moisture, fall in the pot, not be able to get out, drown, and then the people could come and gather up the termites from the water and eat them as a source of protein. Now, how this would help in aging these mounds is obviously the mounds had to be active before the pots went in. But how old are the pots? You could obviously do things like carbon dating if you wanted to, but the pots that the researchers found were very specific styles that had specific engravings in them. One period of engraving between 1100 and 1300 AD had a certain style, and there was another style that was found between 1600 and 1800 AD. What they found was that they never located the two different styles of pot in the same mound. It was always either one or the other. But if you found a pot that dated between 1100 and 1300 AD, or at least with that patterning, you knew that these mounds were then at least older than that. So we're looking at close to 1,000 years old where you're finding the older pots. I'm not going to pretend that I know much about the archaeological designs on these. Not that you can tell on this anyway. You need the more near the lid of the pot. But if you were somebody that was inclined and knowledgeable in that, you would be able to then get an age of this pot and a relative age of the mound. Anyway, it's been here for hundreds of years. Fortuitously, an aardvark dug it out, and that is what is left. But you can just imagine what it would have looked like 300 years ago, 900 years ago. Definitely would not have been a Land Cruiser park. There wouldn't have been a road there. This tree wouldn't have been here. And this would have been a very, very interesting landscape and time to have been around and to see just what was going on. And incredible to think what kind of connection these people would have had with these wild areas long time before the European explorers arrived here, and living off the land, knowing how to use it. And that's where so many of the medicinal uses of these trees come from, was these indigenous communities that lived here for hundreds, thousands of years before. Anyway, it's cold. I'm getting back to my heater. Wonderful autumn colors coming through, particularly in these small Mapani sections, getting their rust-colored autumn clothing on. Well, I guess it's way past autumn, it's winter now. It's almost spring. Despite everything, our magic quarries, which appeared on some of our first safaris, still can't get it right, but it was a surf safari. Those quarries, we mentioned how they're evergreen, and you'll see that they just stand out in these landscapes, especially on very miserable, cloudy days like today. The vibrant green just sticks out like a sore thumb. But as we've said before, despite it being one of the few green trees around, things that are still green now, generally not very edible. So the browsing animals are going to probably be avoiding most of them. Some wildebeest and impalas in the background. Unlike these zebbies, these guys are not taking any chances in the thickets. They're staying out where it is a little bit more open, albeit unpleasant. Zooming around here. Okay, hello general game. Nice zebras also out in the open. Baby giraffe there too. Look at this. It's not so baby giraffes. Two babies. Finding the little shoots of green that are growing on the tree wisteria. Let's get an age of the youngsters by looking at how much bigger mother is. Those are only a few months old, those calves. Super furry tufts of hair on the ossicones when they're young. Just about reaching that tree, and there you've got mom towering over them. Get a good gauge of the windiness if you hadn't heard it on the microphone already. But not siblings, even though they are a similar size. Very, very, very rare for giraffes to give birth to twins. Far more common for having nursery herds, just with youngsters that happen to be born at a similar time. Moms stay together in these nursery groups, and that's it. As promised, our tracking team has been on form, and Scotch and Jack and Stephen, I believe, were out this morning and came across this. So 3 Nori males, and you can see the little cub to the left of the limping male there in the middle. Mom is passed out in a comatose state a little further to the left, and the other 3 ladies have gone off for a drink. But this pride has been on fire. That's 3 kills in 3 nights. They got another zebra last night. They got a zebra the night before and an impala the night before that. So no wonder these males are hanging around the females consistently. Great, yes, it gives them a lot of protection, but it also means that, a lot of the food that should go to the females and this one remaining cub doesn't quite always ends up in their bellies. But with them eating as much as they are, there's so much food going around, so they're all in great condition, even the old girl. Quite amazing that as aggressive as these males will be towards one another and the females in these kills, they're very tolerant of the little cub sneaking in amongst them. Probably know that the risk of that cub eating more than its fair share is quite low, and even if it does, it's barely going to dent the zebra. There's going to be plenty to go around. The growling you may hear there between those two males, but very little meat left. Yeah, the cloudy, windy conditions last night would have been perfect for hunting. But even the night before, full moon, and they managed. Night before there was also full moon when they caught an impala, so proving their effectiveness as a hunting unit are the River Pride at the moment. Sadly though, I'm not going to say in vain, because obviously they need to stay healthy, but yeah, with only that one little cub left, things have completely turned around for this pride's fortunes from 6-1 in one foul swoop. Very, very strange. We'll chat about that shortly. Could be bad for the cub going to try and feed where dad is. Out of the wind, cub in tow, and other male in tow. Like, where are you going with my dinner? This could be a fight here. I'm not going to move for risk of missing the action. Snarling at the approach of the other male. Dad's using a zebra as a pillow and allowing his cub to feed, even though looking at her belly I have no idea where the food is going to go at all. Limpy with the leg, which is slightly ironic, and the cub with the leg too. Oh, he's just gone for a dump in the bushes there, the smell that blew in my direction was quite overpowering. Let's see what he's going to do. Cub might. Oh, sorry, getting active. Here's Limpy. We can see from one of our previous videos where you can put any weight on it. He now kind of wakes up and immediately starts walking, which is good. So he's better. He's still lagging behind the pride on a regular basis. Mom has now got the leg that the cub brought over to her. Okay, so actually seeing now that this female is up. It's not the mom, it is the granny of the lot. Looking in reasonably good condition. I didn't notice until she opened her mouth and she has no teeth. But yeah, it's worth now chatting about our river pride and the misfortunes that have befallen this pride with regard to their cubs. During lockdown, during early parts of July, they become much more erratic in their movements, moving to parts of the territory that they hadn't moved before, moving big distances. But when I last saw the pride together, all cubs were alive and well, and we were at Curry Homestead with Don and Nina and the family, and found them just after they'd finished a kill, walking around and very close to Curry Homestead, back into the central regions. Then the next time we saw them was after our film crew had arrived, and we tracked them off our eastern boundary where they had a kill, and the cubs decided that leg's no good, where they had a kill and couldn't get in there, but we could see that there weren't a lot of cub tracks. They finished the kill and walked straight back to the western boundary, found them there with only one cub, missed one, and then while Scotch was sitting filming with the film crew, they heard these contact calls of another one, and went to investigate, and we found this poor thing lying in the grass, unable to move, and just a seriously sad sight. Would call for the adults would come and have a look, but there was just nothing they could do. This youngster could not move. A few days before, they had seen the male with a youngster in that same area, but goodness knows where the other four went, what happened to them. It was the same fate that befell them. But it is just unusual for prides to lose so many cubs in one foul swoop. Devastating. I mean, we were heartbroken. We've watched these little guys and girls grow up over the last few months. They've provided us such joy and continue to do so, but it was really devastating. But for about a week afterwards, the pride continued moving in and out of that area looking for the cubs, to no avail, and they have now subsequently resumed normal activities with this single cub who's doing very well. Obviously now it gets all the food, all of mom's milk, but you can see the way it's trying to interact with Gran there, that it is just missing its playmates. If this was 6 of them around here, they'd be chasing each other around here. Whether it was predators, based on the way that the youngster was behaving, I've seen it before with something called white muscle disease, where these youngsters are just unable to move. But that was far more prominent during the drought when there was malnourishment going on. There's nothing like that going on now. But anyway, we can only hope that this one is going to grow and continue to grow and add to the strength of the pride, and that the other mom who lost all of her cubs will come into estrus soon, mate, and have some more by the end of the year. Still just scratching around the actual kill site. There's a lot of blood left there. Easy to just lick that up and get some sustenance from it. And I'm sure scraps as they were fighting over the kill too. Interesting that the cub didn't follow its mom to go drink water, but I'm sure they will probably just drink and come back here. A bit of a limp in the old girl. Yeah, got a tail. So waiting very patiently for Mom to return. I'm not quite sure when that's going to be. So we're waiting patiently too. Clawing the tree. Hello. He's getting all the muck and dirt out of those claws, keep them sharp. Clearly an instinctive behavior. Adults will typically do this before they go hunting. This cub is not going to be partaking in any hunting. However, the instinct is there, knowing what to do, what keeps those claws sharp, which is going to help improve your ability to hunt. And that is probably not needed at the moment for this pride. They are just, again, doing remarkably well, which is fantastic to see in light of the sad news. But that bulging belly is hopefully a sign of things to come for this youngster. Get the attention of the pride and protection of the pride too, so that she can make it to adulthood and the pride starts a chapter anew. But we mustn't forget that this is nature, this is life in the wild. These things happen. As sad as it might be for us humans, it is part of their existence. Not the first and not the last litters that these lions are going to lose. Even for the king of the jungle. Yeah, they're not jungle, but still, there is always challenges, always difficulties in these lives. And just about carrying on and making sure the next generation can survive. I think I'm going to sign off here. It's been great to actually say we're going to look for lions and then show you lions. Purely, and I won't take any credit, was our tracking team. It's amazing the difference that having skilled trackers out there helping you find game does. And yeah, they've been doing a sterling job, and I'm sure they will continue to provide us with some great sightings. But we're going to leave the river pride. Nara males falling asleep now, not much left of their kill. But hope you have enjoyed this episode of Solo Safari. But it's on YouTube, so do enjoy it there. And we will be in touch with you again very soon. But wherever you are in the world, stay safe, stay positive, and take care. Cheers. In very typical fashion, as I'm about to leave, and as my battery of my phone's about to die, the ladies have returned from their drink. Sorry, girls. Not much left. Legs have been eaten, tails been eaten, and your boyfriends/husbands have the remainder of the carcass. Normally the saying is you snooze, you lose. But in their case, you booze, you lose. However, looking at everything about them, there is no losing out here. They're so well fed. 2 zebras in 2 days. This might not go down so well. She hasn't been allowed to eat. Yeah, the male's not standing for that. As soon as these girls or the one female feed in the middle, we have a chance. But she's promptly been chased away. Okay, now I'm leaving. Till next time, cheerio.